Do you have an exotic that you love to use, but it's just not meta? That's why we're starting this series, Neglected to Effective, where we take unpopular exotics and see if we can turn them into something special. We'll determine if the exotic should remain unpopular, or if it's secretly viable. Welcome to Neglected to Effective. Welcome back to another episode of Neglected to Effective. Remember to leave a comment for a neglected exotic you'd like to see used in a build, and we'll see if we can make a good build out of it. Today we have a suggestion to use the Icefall Mantle, and if you're unfamiliar, 2 to 3 stasis kills within 10 seconds of each grants a stasis weapon surge stack up to a max of 4 stacks, and then it also replaces your barricade with Glacial Guard, which grants a 100 HP overshield and 63% damage resist for 20 seconds. It also grants ×4 of stasis weapon surge and slows combatants nearby. Glacial Guard prevents class ability energy regen, sprinting, movement abilities, and sliding. And then taking damage refreshes the buff duration of Glacial Guard. There's a lot going on with this exotic, and to pair with it we'll be using Aegir's Scepter. Kills trigger a stasis burst applying 100 slow stacks to enemies within 10 meters, and then stasis kills refill 10 ammo. And the Catalyst adds an alternate firing mode that can be used while at full super energy, and this will consume your super gradually until your super runs out. You swap the firing mode, change weapons, or until the magazine is emptied. The alternate firing mode overloads the magazine from reserves, grants 80% increased damage, and applies 20 slow stacks on hit. These two exotics pair perfectly with one another. We'll have a great amount of damage resistance and damage output. Now for our subclass, we'll be using Stasis as it synergizes well with both of our exotics. For our first aspect, we have Tectonic Harvest. Shattering a stasis crystal or frozen target creates a stasis shard. Stasis shards grant melee energy for you and allies. And then picking up stasis shards will grant frost armor. We'll be creating stasis shards regularly, which will allow us even more damage resistance on top of the damage resistance and overshield we'll be getting from Icefall Mantle. And our next aspect is Diamond Lance. Shatter or defeat targets with stasis abilities or weapons to create a stasis lance, which you can throw or slam on the ground, freezing targets. And we'll be constantly creating Diamond Lances, and this will also help us create more stasis shards thanks to Tectonic Harvest. Now for your grenade, I recommend the Glacier Grenade as it can provide some mobility when you're in Glacial Guard, and it's also a quick way to create stasis shards. And you can also use it to block off line of sight of enemies when you need to. And then you only have one option for your melee, but keep in mind that it's another great option for mobility while in Glacial Guard. Now for our first fragment, we have Whisper of Fissures, which increases the damage and size of burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. Freezing targets is easily done with Aegir's Scepter, and then our Glacier Grenade is an easy source of stasis crystals. Up next we have Whisper of Refraction. Kills against enemies affected by stasis effects grants class ability energy based on enemy rank, and this ranges from 9% to 50%. We want our class ability as frequently as possible so we can continue to use Glacial Guard. And then we have Whisper of Rime, which increases our maximum frost armor stack amount to 8, and then it increases the duration to 13 seconds instead of 9. 8 stacks of frost armor grants us 36% damage resistance, and this build makes you a tank to say the least. Now to make sure we have frost armor more frequently, we'll be using Whisper of Conduction, which allows nearby stasis shards to track to us. And for our last fragment, we have Whisper of Shards. Upon destroying a stasis crystal, we receive 500% additional base grenade regen rate up to a max of 11 seconds. And for your other weapons alongside Aegir's, I like using anything with permeability to make it stasis when we use our class ability, allowing us to have increased damage from stasis weapon surges from Icefall Mantle. And this is nice for whenever you run out of ammo with Aegir's. Now keep in mind the interaction with permeability is interesting. It doesn't give you the ×4 stasis weapon surge as soon as you use your class ability. You need to get a kill for the ×4 stasis weapon surge to proc. And I'm assuming the Glacial Guard procs before permeability, so it doesn't recognize that it's a stasis weapon until you get a kill. And some good options for weapons with permeability are Shadow Price, Subjunctive, Scalar Potential, and Optative. And then for your heavy, I recommend a Stasis Heavy, and the Slammer is a good option, especially since it has the option for Eager Edge for movement while you're in your Glacial Guard. Now moving on to artifact mods, we'll want Shield Crush for faster melee recharge and increased damage when we have Frost Armor, and we'll pretty much have Frost Armor all the time. And then we'll want Creeping Chill for a slowing burst when we defeat slowed or frozen targets with our stasis weapons, and this is mainly for our heavy and our weapon with permeability if you decide to go that route. And then we'll want Elemental Siphon for stasis shards on stasis weapon final blows. Now moving on to armor mods, on our class item, we'll want Special Finisher for our Aegir's, Reaper for more orbs, and then I like using Powerful Attraction to pick up orbs easily. And then on our boots, we'll want Stasis Scavenger for our Aegir's and heavy weapon, Recuperation for health on orb pickup, and this is where it's nice having powerful attraction. And then we'll want elemental charge to get occasional armor charges when we pick up a stasis shard. On your chest piece, just use whatever damage resistance mods that you'd like. And then on your gauntlets, heavy-handed for orbs on powered melee final blows, bolstering detonation for class ability energy when we cause damage with a grenade, and then focusing strike for class ability energy when we cause damage with a powered melee attack. We want glacial guard up as frequently as possible, so we're going to use mods to take advantage of that. And finally on our helmet, you want harmonic siphon for orbs on stasis weapon final blows, and then special and heavy ammo finder. That's everything for the build. Enjoy the gameplay. Alright, we have the Conflux Master Law sector, we have overcharged trace rifle, solar and arc surge, solar threat, and then barrier and unstoppable champions. And for our weapons, we're obviously using Aegir Scepter, scalar potential with permeability and golden tricorn, and then we have the slammer. And I don't have one with Eager Edge, but if you have one with Eager Edge, I highly recommend it. Alright, we're just going to start off using Glacial Guard as soon as possible. Use this to stun these champions. Try and get both of them at the same time. Get some damage resist from those stasis shards, giving us frost armor. Need to play my life here. I was too aggressive there. You can be really aggressive with this build, but I was a little too aggressive. I was right next to 3 champions, and we made it work though. We're alive. It's a pretty good combo using the glacier grenade with your sword. Does pretty good damage, and then you also get those stasis shards for damage resist. All right. Use our finisher to get some special. Super. Use Glacial Guard, and we'll be doing a lot of damage, and we won't be taking much damage. It's a pretty good combo. Alright, we're going to use Glacial Guard again. I want to use my finisher on one of these guys, get some special ammo. Alright. Yeah, nothing crazy so far. Just gonna use this. Use our finisher. We got some heavy, so we're gonna just use that. And that should do it. Not too bad. Pretty quick lost sector. Hopefully you can see the potential of the build though. It's a lot of fun. And we'll go ahead and get into the star ratings of the build now. For the endgame potential, we're going to give this a 4.5 star. We have great survivability, we have good damage output. The only reason I'm giving it a half star off is because of the lack of mobility. In certain situations, it could hinder us a little bit. And then for ad clear, we're going to give this a 4 star. Aegis is great at clearing ads, and your weapon with permeability does a great job as well. And for DPS, we're going to give this a 3 star. It's not suited for DPS phases, but depending on your stasis heavy weapon and the type of boss, it could be decent. And then survivability, we're gonna give this a 1 star. No, I'm just kidding. We're giving this a 5 star. This build is intended for survivability. We have a crazy amount of damage resist, and we can get health back from orbs and stasis shards. And for the fun, we're gonna give this a 4 star. Becoming a stasis tank and becoming a stasis turret, it's a lot of fun. You can kind of turn your brain off and just freeze everything. Hope you guys enjoy the build. The build link is down in the description, and I will see you in the next one.